Hi, it's Brittany from the Empurrium. Welcome back to my channel. Today is another day of the 13 Days of Christmas video series I'm doing for 2024. And we're going to make the car trash can. This is a free pattern from More Me Know. I have made it on my channel before, but I wanted to redo it. It is time. I used a cotton woven print that I saw on my website. I used some cotton woven interfacing similar to SF101. I just can't remember which brand I used, but I used the brand new Renew canvas from More Me Know. I do believe it's dropping this weekend from More Me Know, but it will be out soon. I really enjoyed it. It is a lighter weight. It's made out of recycled water bottles. I like it. And then I used my neon pink wizardry thread. Finally, it came out so cute. We'll go over cutting it and sewing it. I hope you enjoy. If you haven't checked out the other days in 13 Days of Christmas, make sure you do so and enjoy. First step for cutting is to remove the cat from the table. I tried telling George that I needed to cut this and he didn't want to move, so I'm gonna put him in his little kitty house and he's probably not gonna stay in it. Nope. Okay, we're ready to cut. I'm using cotton woven from my website. It is a little bit thick on the thicker side, not quite a canvas though. Sometimes I don't interface the woven when I'm making these, but I'm going to use the Renew canvas solids that More Me Know just got, well, is dropping this month, and it is a little bit thinner than regular waterproof canvas, so I want a little bit more structure. I'm really excited. I'm using the neon pink and then this, and then I grabbed just some woven interfacing, like SF101 equivalent. So you can get templates for the car trash can from that template shop. Mine didn't come there, but that is where you should get them from. So we're gonna have 2 rectangles and then we have this piece, and you need 1 exterior, 1 lining of each of those. So what I like to do is I'll use my print exterior for the outside 2 rectangles, and then I will use it for 1 of the top piece. So I'll do 1 print, 1 lining of that. For me, it just helps like kind of conserve my materials, my prints. Okay. And I have sublimated this before too. It is right like at the edge of where I can print, but it works because you end up with the seam allowance. All right, so 15 by 13 is what our rectangles are going to be. So that's width by height. I'm going to line up down here and I'm going to start cutting. We will be boxing the corners, so we will just go ahead and cut that after we have our rectangles. Sometimes I even cut it after interfacing. All right, so 13 and 15. The 18-inch square ruler from More Me Know is also amazing for this. So here is one of my main pieces. I'm going to cut my other one. so I've got those two, and now out of my main print, I just need to cut the top pattern piece. You want to make sure that you have that going in the right direction. Some people say that this looks like pants, but you want it to be this way. So I might line this up a little where I would like it to be. Let's see. Oh, nice. We're going to catch some cats here on this. I think, well, okay, don't quote me on this. The new template pieces might have the rotary corners. Mine don't, so I just make little marks so that I can cut with scissors after cutting with the rotary as far as I can. Alright, so where'd my scissors go? They're there. I'll just need to go in and cut at those corners where I made the marks. And anywhere else. I need to change the blade on my rotary cutter. Alright, so now we're done with the print. Can put that away. Okay, so now we have those pieces. I'm just going to box my corners at the end together. We need to cut those three things again with our lining. So it's pretty simple to cut all of the pieces for this. I have, I've taught this as a class on industrials before, and I had to make, I think I made about 18 kits. And because I left it until the last minute, I cut them all in one night. So I don't recommend it, but it is possible to do a lot at once or in a short amount of time. Okay, so then we need to cut this piece again. And I'm going to mark those insides again. Okay, and then we're done with the lining. If you cut a lot and you don't have a directional print, you can kind of fit this piece inside to save some fabric. But if you are doing a directional print, you do end up with some wastage. But you can, I mean, it's big enough you can use it as a scrap for other projects. Okay. I just need some interfacing. So these pieces are done. I'm going to set them to the side so they're ready to sew. And then interfacing. I'm going to go to the end. That should have some open rectangles. Maybe. Apparently I've cut off both ends. I'm not surprised. Okay. So you could also just lay down your pieces and cut around it. It's up to you how you like doing that. You just have to trim down more afterwards if you do that. Did not cut that straight. That's funny. What did I do? I think the material shifted on me. Right, there's one. Going to do this part. Sometimes this piece is easier if you just go ahead and fuse it and then trim around. Lining it up can kind of stink. I use parchment paper, so I'll have that on the side that has the glue, and then that way it doesn't stick to anything and I can toss that parchment paper when I'm done with it. All right, one more rectangle. Have some pink fuzz on here too from a 13 Days of Halloween project. Okay, so I am going to fuse the interfacing to my exterior, and then I will meet you at the sewing machine and we can go ahead and box the corners there. First, we can go over the pieces and do just a few little prep work things and we'll be ready to go. So we have that top piece, we have it in our exterior and our lining, and then I have interfaced the exterior woven. So for that piece, this if you want a name tag, it'll go on there, so I grabbed one, and then also at the end we will sew on some hook and loop tape. I have two pieces that are about 2.5 inches, so that's what we need for the top. And then for the main part, we have those 15 by 13 inch rectangles. I have 2 from my lining and I have 2 from my exterior. And then we need to box our corners. Also, I interfaced the exterior. So to box the corners, we're going to do a 2-inch square. So you're just going to take a ruler and any marking tool. It's going to get cut off or be in the seam-allowance. But you're going to mark and then cut. These are not my greatest scissors. But you're going to get that square out of there. So we need to do this for all of these corners. So I'm going to go do that real quick. You also want to make sure that it is the bottom corner. You do not want to cut from the top. So my print is directional, and I'm making sure that I'm cutting from the bottom. For the lining, unless you're using a directional lining print, it doesn't really matter so much, but that is definitely something that you need to keep in mind. Really doesn't matter if you're marking on the front or the back also. I do have good scissors over here. Okay. Cut these last ones easier. I like to save squares from when I box corners sometimes. More so when I'm using vinyl. I'll save it and I'll use it for zipper tabs and things like that. Sometimes I'll save these. Sometimes I'll just pitch them. Okay, so the lining is cut. Almost done with these. Interfacing this woven does make it a lot easier to sew on my 1181 also. Okay. So I'm just going to look at these and see, like, yeah, I'm just going to throw these out. You never know. Sometimes they end up real cute. Okay, so I have right sides together on the exterior. I'm going to set it to the side. And then I actually am not sure. Okay, it looks like you can tell the right and the wrong side. All right, so I've got those right sides together. And then I'm going to stitch on my nameplate first. That's the very first thing I'm going to do. And I just want to make sure it's centered and it's not going to end up in my seam allowance. I also don't want to block where this says bad blood. Maybe I need to go down. Okay, I'm going to stitch that on really quick. And I like tying my threads to the back whenever I can when I'm putting a cork name tag on. Okay. And then I just need to figure out if I'm pulling the right thread. Good. All right. So I'm going to knot those off, and then I will be lining the right sides of the exterior and lining pieces for this. And we're going to sew around, but we'll leave the bottom open so we can turn it through there. So I'll show you that in 1 second. Okay, so right side, and then I'm trying here. I think that's the right side. Okay, so you're just going to line these up and clip them together. Okay, so again, we're leaving the bottom open. Someone told me a tip for something they do, and I think I already forgot, but I think they might leave this open and fold it in, and they said it's easier to turn. And I already forgot. I've done this where I use 2 layers of waterproof canvas. It is on the thicker side when you do that. It's doable, but it is hard to turn. So you just work your way all the way around, again leaving this bottom open. And then a couple little things here are going to make it easier for turning and laying it flat. We're going to cut at an angle on these corners, getting close to the stitches but not too close. You do not want to cut into them. And then right here, this helps so much if you cut at an angle into where your stitch corner is. That's going to help that lay flat. You can also kind of like take some of this seam out, and it just helps things lay more flat. All right, now we have to turn it, and this is where I like to bring in my hemostats. It helps tremendously for turning. You're just going to put them in there, pinch, and then start to turn it right side out. And they lock, so not that it won't always release it, but it definitely helps. Oh, I love this neon pink with this print. I thought it might have been too much, but I really like it. All right, we're going to do the other, and then we'll fix it all nice. So So we've got them flipped right side out. We just need to make them look prettier. So you can also take the hemostats and with them closed, push up at the corners. They're dull corners, ends of the hemostats, so they're really good for this. And I just get them as good as I can. These little corners aren't going to show too much. They're going to be at the back. And we're going to be sewing the Velcro here. Okay. So you're going to want to kind of like finger press or do whatever you got to do to get this all flat. Sometimes I just give it a good tug and clip, and you can see here that's laying pretty nice in the corners the way we prepped it too. Okay. I kind of roll it as I go too here for this next step. We're going to top stitch, and you can also base the bottom closed if you want to. So I am starting at the bottom. And then we're just top stitching all of the edges. Sometimes the seam doesn't want to lay as flat as I would like, but as long as it looks nice, that's all I truly care about. So you're just working your way around this piece again. And after we finish this piece, it's smooth sailing. Not that this was difficult, but everything else is real easy. Don't have to stitch all the way across the bottom because again, we're just basting it. Okay, if you'd like to now, you can go ahead and put your hook and loop tape on. I'm going to do it just so it's out of the way. And what I'm going to do is on one side, I'm going to place this face up on my main print on the exterior. And we're just going to stitch around. You could sew like an X on the Velcro if you want. You could also use snaps. Like you don't have to use Velcro. I find it's my preference for this project for cost, and it does hold well. Your stitches might look funny with the Velcro. It does happen sometimes. It is weird for the tension, but it's fine. So this is face up. This is going to be on the back so that when you loop it around like that, they go together. You can also tape or clip this to hold it in place. I'm just used to holding it as I get it started, and then it's fine. Okay, so now the top is completely prepped. We just have to sew the main exterior. So that's what that looks like when that goes together. I'm going to set it to the side. And then for the lining, I'm going to leave a hole in the bottom to turn, but I'm going to line these up right sides together. I've also left a hole in the top seam at the end before. You just have to be careful when you fold it and do your final top stitch. All right, so also on this, if you'd like to go in on your seam allowance, you can do that as well. I don't worry about it too much because it is just a trash can, even though it's a pretty one. All right, so I'm leaving my turning hole here, skipping over. Just make sure whatever seam allowance you're using, you start and finish it the same for the exterior and the lining because you want them to fit together. All right, we'll box the corners in a second. We're going to go over to the exterior and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to close the bottom. We only need that turn hole in the lining. All right, so I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You could do a 1/4 inch, you could do 3/8. It's up to you. As long as you are consistent, that's all that matters for this pattern. So all the way across the bottom. Okay, now we're going to box our corners. We're just going to take and pull open the pieces, and then we're going to butterfly open those seams like this, or nest them. I always forget the proper term. But a way to make sure that your corners are nice and boxed is if you feel down further, that seam should still be straight. And then I like to make sure, so that's going that way, I want it to go that way also to the right. I like to chain stitch as much as I can, so I'm not starting and stopping and trimming all my threads. So I'm going to stitch them both kind of at the same time. I'll show you what I'm going to do. So for the lining, I don't clip as much. And seam for the nesting. And here we go. I will go in a little on my seam allowance for the box corner on the lining, but I'm going to keep it the same as the rest on my exterior. So I'm doing a 1/4 again on the exterior, and then I'm doing 3/8 on the lining. Okay, so then I just trim that apart, and I don't have to keep starting my threads. Trim it apart. Okay, so now we've got all of our corners boxed. We're ready for the last final assembly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep the exterior wrong side out and we're gonna flip the lining. Okay, so the lining should be inside out with the wrong side out. Technically, it looks right side out, but it's reversed for the lining. Okay, I'm gonna find the center on my top connector, holder piece, whatever you would like to call it. I need to figure out which side I want to be the front and which side I want to be the back. If you don't have a preference, then you're good to go. We'll make this the front. Okay, so that means that we need to put this hanger on the back. And it gets a little tricky right here because it feels like you want to put lining to the, or exterior to exterior. But then when this is open and this is the back of the bag, it's gonna hang like this. So you want the lining to the exterior because you want this print to show on the lining. The way the bag opens up, that's how it works. So we need to find our center here as well. And then match that up. I'm going to clip this together. If you want to baste this together right now, you can do that. I'm just going to sew it all together at once. But I will have more clips right here than on the rest. Okay, so once you have that attached, baste it if you want to. You're going to drop the lining into the exterior. And then you want to match up the side seams first. And then I like to give it a little tug and just kind of hold as I go. Okay, and then these ones I'll just need to transfer the clips. You can kind of tell too, I know, for some reason it doesn't feel centered. Ooh, today is a clip breaking day, unfortunately. Okay, let's see here. If I line that up right there. Okay, it is centered. I'm gonna sew this together at 3/8 of an inch, just so I make sure I catch the top connector piece. And to secure it in there a little bit more. Okay, and now we just need to flip everything. So we're going to reach in to that hole we left in the lining and then grab the exterior and pull it out. the clip came out. I forgot it was in there. Okay, so you're going to poke the corners. And then you have the top connector out. This is a good spot if you'd like to use a woven label. You could do that. But you're just going to take this turning hole and you're going to fold the seam in. Clip. I think I do want to use a woven label just because I used my Taylor cat print and I have a lot of Taylor labels. So I have a lot of labels. Let's talk about labels. I like buying from More Me Know, but also there is the Sewing Blurbs subscription, and I have so many labels from it. All right, but there is a pack of eras, and pink might be too much right there. Kind of feeling folklore. That would be really cute. Ooh, the 1989 is really cute with that pink. All right, I'm going to do that one. Okay, so I'll show you how I put a woven label in here. So I like to wait until I'm already sewing. And then once I get close to the middle with my needle down, because I'm lifting the presser foot a little, I like to push the label in pretty far and then just pull it out to where I want it. Yeah, that's super cute with it. All right, now we're going to push the lining into the exterior, and you're going to want to push out the corners again that way. And we're going to take and finger press the seam. And then put some clips in as we go. And this is just to hold it in place. It helps me when I go to top stitch if I have these clips in. I also like, once I have my top stitch clips, I like going in again and pressing the lining down. So you can now turn this inside out and stitch from the outside, or you can stitch from the inside. It's really up to you. I think starting kind of in this corner right here is good. Just make sure that this piece does not go underneath. You don't want to stitch through it. When you get to top stitching over the connector piece, you just want to make sure that you're pulling everything flat, because you can only see one side at a time. But as long as everything is smooth and even, it should look good on both sides. Also, I guess stitching this way, how I just did this, is good because this is what you're going to see when it's hanging up in the car. I've also used these not in the car. Like I have one hanging in another room. Oh, so cute. So this is how it hangs on the headrest. Oh gosh, I love it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are enjoying the full 13 Days of Christmas series. If you haven't checked out my other videos, make sure you do that. I hope you have a great day. Happy holidays. I'm gonna go put this in my getaway car. Bye.